Yes, yes. Thanks
Better?
so much. Thanks so much. That's fine. That's perfect. And with me today is Dr. Partha Sati, who says, "Don't call me doctor."
Partha, Partha.
So call me Partha. So yes, we will call you Partha.
Yeah.
And it's indeed a pleasure, Partha, Dr. Partha. I can't avoid that. But Partha, it's a pleasure meeting you here today. We'll start with the end of the story. But first, I think a very brief introduction. Your acquaintance with me goes back, your friendship with me goes back 20 years.
Yeah,
And
almost 20 years. Yeah, I was telling my wife about the first story you wrote about me in that Bangalore based, the Deccan Herald, or what is it?
right,
Deccan Herald. Huh?
Deccan Herald, right.
Nah, whatever Herald. When there was a first story, and then some big surprising thing you did was made me famous at Pakistan. I started getting mail from Pakistan, Dawn of Karachi. So,
But we are going ahead of our story. We are going, since you are taking me ahead of our story, I will take you much more further into the story.
yeah,
And we will actually look at something which is which reaches the year 2022. And
yeah,
we'll begin at the end of the story. That's a very strange way of doing it, but let's do it nonetheless.
yeah.
A few weeks back, you asked me whether I had any idea of where Sudhakar Chandrasekharan Thats THS.
Yeah, that's Tansekar. Yeah,
Yeah,
my first book on computer science I got by begging. I was begging all around the world, and the first man who responded to my begging was Tat Tansekar. He sent me a book, a used book on Linux. It started from Tansekar only. He put me into this story.
but by this time, everyone is going to wonder who are we, what are we talking about. So give me half a minute or 1 minute to give a
Yeah,
small
yeah, yeah.
introduction to Partha. So Dr. Partha is a mathematician. He's got a PhD in mathematics. He'll explain about that later. But what is most interesting is that for the last 2 decades at least, he has been caught up with the world of free software, open source, Linux, GNU Linux, whatever you want to call it, the alternative way of computing as against Microsoft. Okay, and we had a very strong brotherhood, if that's the right word, in those days. And Partha was one of the persons who inspired us a lot because of his knowledge, because of his background, and because of his ability to get things done and to teach people in very simple ways of how to use this rather complex, maybe user unfriendly, but very interesting operating system called GNU Linux or Linux. Okay, and we met up in Bangalore, and I wrote about Partha because Partha had this very fascinating way of teaching people called LOST, Linux One Stanza Tips. Linux One Stanza Tips, and we'll talk about that later. But Partha, I want to start off with the beginning now, since people know.
It,
Uh,
it was
what,
called Linux in a teaspoon.
yeah, that's in the middle. That's the middle of the story. The beginning of the story is, it's probably the early or mid or late 1990s, and you encounter Linux and you want to learn it, and you start going begging for a text, and you finally find one from Thats Chandrasekhar. So then
And then it never stopped from there, and I became so very addicted to Linux. Addiction is the right word. I got addicted to Linux. I'm what you would call as a Linux fanatic. I'm a teacher. I was teaching in universities all over the world, including Germany and China and all over the place. And my favorite opening sentence in any of my class, if you have attended any of my class, my opening sentence is, in my class, the word Windows is a four-letter bad word. Remember never to use a Windows. Don't even open the window in this classroom. That's how I start. I always say I never touch Windows, and I never touch anybody who touches Windows. If you do that, you are out of my class. It starts
okay,
like that, and
okay,
I stick to it. I stick to it, and I have never done that. I'm
interesting.
proud of that, and I'm still learning. Not that I know anything about Linux, but I'm still learning. I learn every day from everybody. One of my teachers of Linux is a guy called Srinivasan. He is very famous in Chennai. Srinivasan. Srinivasan, I discovered, is 2 years younger than my son. My son was born in 1980. This boy was born in 1982. And I consider him my teacher. I call him my guru and I salute him when I see him.
So,
That's what.
just to go back one step, Partha, why do you feel Linux is important for the computer user?
If you want to learn computer science, you will not learn anywhere else except from Linux. Linux teaches you Linux, of course, as a operating system and whatever, and it teaches you a whole lot of things about computer science every day. I am a teacher of computer science. I teach mathematics and I teach a lot of things related to computer science strictly. And I use
Like what?
like
Like what?
huh? Like what? Like discrete mathematics, graphics, graph theory, logic, cryptography, number theory, everything related to computers. And for all of this, I find plenty of tools on Linux. I use these tools to teach, show them the concepts, to teach this, and I also use this as assignments for my students who can use the tools to do projects in Linux and computer science. That's how it is. So,
Apart from these tools being free, the sharing system within Linux makes it easy for people to also share their tools,
yeah,
right?
to sharing system, the brotherhood, the kind of this thing that nobody is cheating nobody. I'm not going to learn anything. I'm not gaining anything. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not going to make money out of you. So I'm not going to push you something down your throat even if you don't want it. That is amazing. Absolutely honest and clean. Honest and clean thing is the right word for Linux.
Doctor, what's your background in teaching? Which institutions?
My last assignment was 2015. It's almost 6 years now. In Kathmandu, Nepal, where I taught cryptography for 4 years there. Kathmandu had a very big earthquake in 2015. That was the last I went to Kathmandu. After that, I didn't go there. They never called me again because they got to pay for it anyway. So I was teaching cryptography. And cryptography, the best tools are there in Linux. Best tools. Every aspect of cryptography, there is some tool there in Linux. That is my background. That is how it is. And earlier also, and it goes on like that. In fact, I started my life with a Unix machine, a Multics machine. Multics, Unix. It started off as Multics. In fact, the Multics machine, and in fact, Linux follows a standard called the POSIX standard. POSIX is Portable Operating System of Unix. It's called the POSIX standards. Linux is a POSIX compliant implementation of Linux of Unix, and the POSIX standard. If you open the book, the standard, the first page you'll find about 200 names there. Out of the 200 names, there is one Indian name, only one Indian name of a person working in India.
That is,
That happens to be Partha.
wow, wow, congrats.
So today the whole world uses POSIX and this thing. And one of the I was just one contributor amongst 200 people there, or maybe more. One of them was Linux, and it started from those days, from Multics days. My own PhD thesis was not done on a Multics machine; it was done on a French machine. What was I saying? Yes, I used, I used. You know, how many of you have seen a punch card?
We've only
My
heard of
PhD,
them. We've heard of them, not seen them.
you're not seeing them. I have one here right now on my this thing, the punch card. So my program, I wrote a 200 line Fortran program, one box of punch cards, one box like that, and I got a PhD for that.
This was which institution? France. I
Then it
remember.
was in France in an institution called Grenoble.
Grenoble.
Grenoble is France, Italy, Switzerland got joining point. I That was 1980. Came
Wow.
back to India. Then I worked in China for some time for a Chinese institution. What were I saying? Yeah, and there we used, those days there was no Linux, not so easy. We used Unix machines, Sun workstations on Unix. So it was almost destined like that. God wrote it like that. So I had to be in Unix. I had to be in Unix, and then gradually one fine day Linux comes up. I go around begging people for a book on Linux, which was horrible. It was very difficult. I just send mail to people whom I don't even know. Just send mail like that, and somebody picked up from USA and sent me a book. I
And
have that book in
that somebody was Tats.
Tas Chandrasekhar. I have that book right here, even now on my table. One minute, I can
Would
show
you
you.
like to show it? Would you like to show it to
Yeah,
us?
I'm just showing you. It is right here. It was right here. So I keep. Ooh, 1 minute. Let me go around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, I'm coming.
yeah, no, take your time, take your time. I'm just saying that we are talking to Dr. Partha Sarthi, who prefers to be called just Partha, who's a mathematician and a GNU Linux open source fan.
This is the book Tat Chandrasekhar gave me 20 years or more than 20 years ago. And this book, I have it today right next to my table, and I use it almost every day. And I'm still learning from this book.
Wow.
You can't be. I am 72-year old. Don't underestimate me. I'm 72 years old. It is not easy to do this at this age. I do
So, Doctor,
every
just a brief mention of the other institutions you worked at in India and abroad.
abroad. Oh yeah, it's all there on my website. Have you seen my website?
Okay, okay. What's the page?
Drpartha.org.in. Any
Okay,
email you get from me gives
yes,
you my website.
yes.
Drpartha.org.in.
Hmm.
I'll write it out and show you.
We'll do. No, we'll do one better. We will screen share it.
You can get. Yeah, this is it. You see this? Start your journey here, and you have everything from there.
Okay. Where
And
do you
this
want me to?
website, huh?
Where should I click? Where should I click? Start your journey here.
Yeah, start your journey here. One man, two faces.
Oh
This is
wow.
Dr. Partha, the person,
Right. The young
and
person.
this is Professor Partha,
I see.
the teacher.
I see.
So properly groomed and this thing and all, in a proper formal shirt and all. This man in a kurta, not even groomed, not even combed his hair. So
Where
all
is
this,
this? Where is this photo taken?
it must have been done long ago. I don't know where.
Grenoble
Somewhere
or
at home.
no idea.
It must be some this thing, and there is a come down again, come down, down.
Down, down, down.
Yeah. Contact us. Further down, come down further.
I'm
Right,
I'm
right,
I'm at
right to
the
the
end.
top of the page.
Go to the top.
Go to the top. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. Move up. Scroll up.
I'm at the top, doctor.
Yeah. Now scroll. Continue scrolling.
Continue scrolling.
Yeah. Wait. You want too much.
Ah,
My brief profile will tell you everything about me.
I see. A very long brief profile. Oh
It
no.
is just one page, A4
Okay.
page.
Fine. Fine. Fine.
It is one A4
So
page. The rest of this thing is about 50 pages long. This is just one A4 page, just
yeah,
the essentials.
40 plus years in the software industry as an employee of large companies, as an independent entrepreneur, and as a university level teacher with
Yeah.
an engineering doctorate doctor engineer from Grenoble, France, and a postdoctoral scientist in Paris, France. His doctorate was on, I won't attempt saying the words, yeah, magna cum laude. And he lectured and taught in several institutions worldwide. That's France, Macau, Thailand, Indonesia, Germany, Spain, Poland, Nepal, Australia, India. He is the author of several publications, popular studies, and educational CD-ROMs. He was editor of the International Journal Engineering Application of Applied Intelligence. It's really honors, doctor, to have you. I'm intimidated, therefore I'm calling you doctor. To have you as part of our group that saw the growth of Linux, and maybe maybe the slow kind of decrease in its growth, but I still feel that the need for it is still there and very much important. But now we go to the story of your search for Thats. So Thats was this guy who was a very young techie in those days. Was he still at Google? I'm not sure. We used
He
to
was
think of
in Netscape. Netscape.
Netscape.
He was
So
in Netscape.
Netscape was this browser which some of you may not know was very popular much before all the Google browsers and Internet Explorer and other bad words came along. But Tats was there, and Netscape was very prominent in those days. And subsequently, Doctor, you found him. Can you tell that side of the story? How you found him in
I found
2022?
him first by sending mails, just like the blind mails all over the world, and
Mhm.
also because I located him in one of the how-tos. How-to manuals are written for many uh, Linux utilities. There is something called as a how-to,
Yeah.
and one of the how-tos had Tats and Strecker, and was an author of one of those how-tos. And surprisingly, he also comes from the same university where I studied much earlier than him. Maybe he was
Which
not
is
even born then.
which is
Annamalai University. I
Anna.
did my first engineering. My engineering degree was from Annamalai University, and he happens to be also from Annamalai University, which is just a lucky coincidence. And also a book with thoughts. After some time, I lost touch with him because whatever it is, he was very busy. And then I was looking for him frantically because I wanted to thank him for this book again. Somehow I found him. I asked you also. I I found him finally, and he answered my mail also. In fact, I sent him a mail to the same address I had sent him a mail 25 years ago. It didn't work. Then I sent him a mail. I found in the mail ID of that how to of which I was talking about. I couldn't locate him on that. And then by lot of somebody helped me, and finally somehow I got him.
Doctor,
Now,
just a small request. If you could center yourself on the screen, no, so that yeah, fine, perfect, perfect. Carry on,
yeah, yeah,
carry on. Sorry.
yeah. So that's how I got in touch with Tats. I got so this thing with Linux. Then I said I should propagate it to as many people as possible. I did my best. I was also learning at the same time. Mind you, if you are a guru already, it's easy, and you're also trying to learn. So you're not very sure. You're not very confident about what you're talking about. And I was also not sure if I'm doing the right thing because maybe one fine day I'll end up saying I made a fool of myself. It was not like that. And my first course, surprisingly, which I conducted on my own and I was paid for it, paid a lot of money for it, was done in Bangalore. Bangalore, which is the capital of all
IT.
information technology and computer science. I did my first Linux course, taught this Linux course on what I call as Linux in a teaspoon, was done in Bangalore. And that was when I met you, and you wrote a nice article about me in one of this. What is it, Herald? It is National Herald or
No,
not
Deccan
Deccan?
Herald, Deccan Herald.
No, Deccan Herald is a Hyderabad paper. The
No,
Hyderabad.
no, no. Deccan Chronicle is Hyderabad, Professor. This
Ah,
is
okay, okay,
Deccan
correct,
Herald.
correct, 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 correct.
And
Deccan.
and and you also reminded me that I used to contribute to the Dawn in Karachi and to Spider
Yeah,
magazine.
yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah. And
yes,
then
yes.
one fine day, I get a mail from somebody, a Muslim name. I didn't even know, asking me about a particular Linux in a teaspoon. Today I saw your this thing about Linux in a teaspoon. So can you give me a copy of the Linux? I said okay. I sent him. 2 minutes later, or just a few minutes later, I get another mail, again from another Muslim name. It was a name which sort of attracted me. I said, "What is this?" Second time, I said, "Okay, same story, same Linux in a teaspoon." So I sent him this a second time. Another few minutes later, one more mail which says, "Please give me a copy of Linux in a teaspoon." Three times, and this is too much. I said, "No, I'll find out what is it." The fourth mail which I got, again from the fourth Muslim guy, I wrote to him, "How do you know me? I'm a little curious. And why is it everybody is asking for the same thing again?" "Sir, I'm from Pakistan. Today's newspaper called Dawn, there is an article about you in the Dawn." I said, "Oh, how can that happen?" And then he said, who could have done it? My guess was there was only one journalist I know, he must have done that. So I asked that journalist, "Where are you the one?" And I found out he was the culprit
Guilty,
behind all this.
guilty, guilty.
He's the culprit.
He's the culprit. So, doctor, before we go ahead of our story, tell us what exactly Linux in a teaspoon was.
Linux in a teaspoon is an overall introduction to Linux of all aspects of Linux. It starts with a story. It says, don't use Linux if you think Linux is not user friendly. First statement. Don't use Linux if you want to play games. Don't use. I mean, I give you a set of about 10 different reasons why you should not use Linux. That was a selling point for Linux. And behind all this, eventually I proved that you should use Linux. Linux advertisement started by telling people don't use Linux. If you
So,
get it,
please remind me because I'm forgetful. It was handed out on email, or it was a series of emails, or was it on a
no,
pen
no,
drive, or
no.
what?
It was one CD, one compact CD which was made with all these stories, with all the links and all the downloaded material put into one CD. So people would take one CD, and those days the internet was also not very popular. Not many people had that at home. So I had to make a CD and distribute it free of cost to everybody around. Whichever course I could do, whichever course I had, I used to give the CD free for free, including the one which I did in Bangalore. The CD was given to everybody.
How
And a
nice.
lot of people know me because of my Linux in a teaspoon CD.
I loved your names. I loved your names for all the programs. Now tell us about Linux one stanza tip. LOST. LOST.
SE.
LOST. Linux one standard tip was not yours.
No, no, that's not mine.
I'm sorry, 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 sorry,
No, no,
sorry.
no.
That
No.
was I forget whose. I'm mixing up. I'm mixing up. It 20 years is a long enough time for us to become Rip Van Winkles and
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back and find how the world has changed.
That's
But
not me.
that's not yours. But
That's
doctor, talking about how the world has changed, what are your memories of the early days in open source free software in those days?
First of all, those days people never understood what is free software. They thought free means free, like free beer.
Yeah,
I should get it free. If so, what I save, I have money, I buy it. Why should I get it free? People thought if it's free, it cannot be good. There must
yeah.
be something wrong with that. Why is anybody giving anything free for you? It was like that. Today, almost everybody I meet swear by it, and they say it's either Linux or nothing else. And particularly academicians, people who are in the academic field like me, teachers, they have taken a lot of respect, admiration for Linux. Linux means everything for them, and they want something which is reliable, which is honest, which they use, they can copy, and then can give it to the students for free. They want Linux.
Why does this happen? Why does this happen? Is it because it's accessible, because there are no high barriers of cost, no one is going to call you a pirate for sharing it, or is it also because the ideology of sharing, which is so much a part of free software and open source, is so close to the academic viewpoint also? What would you put it down to?
I have something I want to share with somebody.
Please,
I have something I want to share with my students. Why should I bother about somebody coming? Oh my God.
don't worry.
Yeah, I stopped that. So, um, uh, I forgot your question. What was the
Yeah,
question?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
What was the reason? Yeah.
the very instinct or that very emotion of sharing is human. Everybody wants to share whatever you have. You want to share. Even you, when you're traveling, you go. You don't even know people. You're sitting in a train. You, let's say you order a cup of coffee. You want to take a coffee, and when you take coffee, you ask the people around you. You want a coffee? You want to share with me? And then you sort of share. Sharing is human. Sharing is something which is everybody's human instinct. And why should it not be with computer science? Why should it not be with software? It started
Tw-
with so
20
yeah.
years later, 20 years later, what do you feel are the strengths and the weaknesses of the movement? Where did we succeed? Where did we fail?
I would not say that we failed. In fact, that we have not learned how to sell ourselves. That other guy is capable of selling, capable of bribing his way left, right, and center, and doing all kinds of things. He starts what you call a what is that foundation? They got one foundation. He says, we'll promote this, we'll promote that, we'll promote uh, all kinds of things. We have not learned how to sell ourselves. Basically, FOSS Linux people are bad sellers. We don't want to sell. In fact, basically, sell. Why do you want to sell? We don't want to sell. You wanted to take it. You don't want to take it. We'll show you what is good about it. Basically, that is, it's not called a failure. I won't call it as a failure. Because the other man does something smart or clever or cunning, you can't say you're a failure. I'm not a failure. In fact, more people know me today. You're talking to me because of Linux. You won't talk to me if I was one more Windows player and try had used Windows all my life. I never do it. So that is already there.
Tell us something about the people you remember from the early days of Linux, GNU, Linux, FOSS, FLOSS.
My Linux this thing was Tat Chandrasekhar. There was another guy from USA again. Somehow I lost touch with this person. Somebody called Naidu. Naidu was working for AT&T. He was the one who he belonged to Hyderabad. He was coming down to Hyderabad. He says, "I'm coming down to Hyderabad. Can I meet you? Give me your address, name, and all." He came home. He brought me a set of magazines on Linux, not a book, the magazines, and gave me a set of CDs, Linux distros. My first Linux distro, which I actually installed on my own machine with my own hands, was a Slackware distro given to me by Naidu.
Which
I
year? Which
remember
year? Which year was this? 90,
this
93,
must be
92.
about another 20, 25 years ago.
No, early mid 90s, 94, 95.
About that time.
Slackware 2.0.
Slackware, whatever. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
remember.
okay.
It was kernel one.
Kernel 1.
Now we are in kernel 5. Kernel 1, Slackware I like because it is a completely uh, alphanumeric base, what is it called? Cursus installation, no graphics and all. So that was the day, those days in Linux installation, one major, very painful thing would be what is called as XF86 config, where you have to configure your machine. You have to tell Linux what is the kind of hardware, what is the kind of graphics card you have, and all the kind of graphic details to get your graphics working. That was XF86 config. I have done XF86 many times. Sir. Many people don't even know that this XF86 exists. They don't even know what it means. Nowadays, they don't need it. The new kernels can recognize graphic card by itself. Beautiful. And then I got in touch with a lot of people in this GNU, GNU, GNU.
That is, you're talking about Free Software Foundation India.
Free Software Foundation has Dadiwala like me.
Yeah, that is Professor from TIFR. My memory is failing me. How can I forget it? It'll come. It'll come. Professor.
TFR.
Yeah, the very thin professor with a dadi, yeah, with a beard.
Oh,
TIFR in Bombay.
TFR. Too many people have that, is there?
The people I remember, of course, was Atul Chitnis. Poor guy passed away very early in his 50s, who was
Yeah.
a big time organizer in Bangalore, and he brought us all together. He brought the country's movements all together in on the free software open source platform. There was Raj Mathur in Delhi.
Uh,
There were quite a few others. I remember quite a few prominent names, including Prakash Advani from Mumbai, and there were many. I'm missing out quite a few. There were some colorful programmers and contributors from Singapore, NRI Indians,
oh,
Singapore, Australia. I remember those. There was even a Hindu Swami who was a Debian hacker. I'm terrible with names, but if I Google in 2 minutes, I can find my interesting articles on all these guys. And I wonder
hey,
sometimes, like you, I wonder where they are today. What are they doing?
yeah,
Nobody
you
knows.
lose touch very easily. They just disappear. Thoughts took me so much time to look. In fact, I want to tell you a very interesting story.
Please.
I told you about this Naidu who gave me a Slackware CD, Slackware distribution of those days, kernel 1.x, whatever of Linux. And that was the only CD available in Hyderabad because somebody gave me. And there was a very famous professor in Triple IT Hyderabad who later became the director of Triple IT Hyderabad and now is in IIT Banaras, Sangal, Rajiv Sangal.
Professor Rajiv Sangal. Rajiv Sangal.
Rajiv Sangal. And this CD, somehow he came to know that I had this CD with me. So he would borrow the CD from me. And he was 25 kilometers away from home. One of his students would come home, copy the CD, borrow the CD and take it to him because they didn't even have, they or we, even I did not have a CD burning hardware, whatever, CD burner. So we
Yeah.
could burn a CD. We had a CD, but we can't make copies. That's how it is. So this one CD would go right up to Rajiv Sangal, and then he would use it or copy it or do whatever with it and come back to me. In the meantime, I had another friend of mine in a defense laboratory, another 30 kilometers further south in the other side of Hyderabad. He would need it. So he would he would send his man, pick up the CD from me and take it back, take it in and bring it back to me. And this CD used to go crisscross across Hyderabad all the time because somebody wanted a Linux CD. And that was how we started.
What a story. What a story.
It is unbelievable. If you want, there are people to help you. There are people who will help you. If you want, you have to work for it, and you should really be persistent. You should be very clear. You want it, and uh, and I'm happy I did that. I'm happy I could go through all this. And luckily, somebody planted that CD into me. Naidu, I remember. Even if I hope he'll be watching this from somewhere. I hope Naidu will get in touch with me because I'm not able to locate his mail ID. No way. And he said he was working with AT&T, and AT&T subsequently a lot of things changed. Maybe he did. Maybe he has left. I don't know. That is how. So it was a long, very interesting
Journey.
journey learning Linux. And even today, every day I learn something new. Every day I make new mistakes. I keep fumbling. I make asking people. All my friends know me because this old man keeps on asking questions, making mistakes, making foolish things. And I'm not going up in the this thing of learning. I'm learning new things. It doesn't mean that I'm learning something greater. Simple fundamental things which I could do till yesterday, I forgot. I make a mistake and I don't even know where I went wrong. So I have to do all over again. Ask people to help me. Goes on and on and on. Thanks to the network and internet and all that. Today we are comfortable. At least I can. I know I can solve the problem somehow. That's how it is.
Bangalore was the home of
Bangalore?
Bangalore was the home for all of us to meet.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I was invited by a professor from Indian Institute of Science. Uh, what was his name? I forgot his name. Nice, interesting name. Yogananda. Yogananda, I don't know how he located me. Somehow Yogananda located. He said, "Why don't you conduct this Linux in a teaspoon, like Linux in a teaspoon for us in Bangalore?" So we went to Bangalore. We stayed there for about a week, did a 3 4 day course, came back. That's how we became, made a lot of friends.
you must have been one of the first users of Linux in the country.
No, I don't think so. I don't think there will be much more people learning. One of the, I would say, one of the first learners of Linux at that age. Talk about age, talk about adult education. I am a very good example of adult education.
No, but that was 40 years back. So if you're 72 now, you would have been 30 something then.
Yeah, it was
Because
adult those
all the
days
others,
because
all the others were in their teens or 20s.
no,
So
all the
it
others
was.
are still school children. For instance, the person who assisted me was maybe 20 years younger than me. He must have been just out of college. He came down. I said, "Let's go to Bangalore. We'll get some money. We'll share the money. Whatever money they gave, I shared 50 with that boy, Raghu, and he's now in New Zealand."
Doctor,
So
one of the high points of the Linux movement was the time when PC Quest started spreading Linux on their CDs. You
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that?
that, yeah, yeah. In fact, there are quite a few articles of mine in one of the not PC Quest. It's called Linux for You.
Linux for you.
Linux for You became open source for open source.
Open source, just open source.
Linux today became open source today, or whatever, and so on. I got fed up with those people because they become very greedy. They started taking a lot of bribe from Microsoft, and they were putting more Microsoft articles in a Linux for You magazine. The magazine is called Linux for You, and where do I find Microsoft in it? I sent one or two stinkers to them. They said, "Okay, now enough, no more." You find a lot of my articles in that Linux for You magazine,
I see. I see.
tutorial type articles.
I see. Most of your writing is more technical and like what?
Pure, purely technical, always purely related to Linux, and there is always a kind of a tinge of Microsoft bashing in every one of my articles. There's some Microsoft bashing. Even here, the page you showed just now, right at the top of the page, it starts with, "There is no room for Microsoft in Partha's world." If you click there and go there, and you will find pages after pages after pages after pages of Microsoft bashing. Let that be very, very clear, no discussion about it. And in fact, uh, you send me one Microsoft document, mail. You send me one Microsoft whatever
You'll never
document.
hear the end of it. You'll never hear the end of it.
That's all. That's the end. You are banished for life. You can never send me mail again. I say I send a stinker. I say, "You send me how did you do this?" And you're finished. You will never talk to me, or I
In
will
those
never talk
days,
to you.
in those days, it was quite the done thing to be critical of Microsoft, and you would have been
You must be very confident about what you're talking. You must be very sure about what you're talking. You can't bullshit around. And mind you, I'm a teacher. I stand in front of hundreds of students. I keep telling this loud and clear to everybody.
yeah.
Even if one sentence I go say is wrong or not true, those students will even lynch me. I never do that. I can stand in a court of law and stand by every word which I'm saying. Surprise. Many people don't have that confidence. The problem is people don't have that confidence. They're not very sure. If you don't have the confidence, you can't talk.
Hmm.
I'm
No, but
confident.
my point, doctor, was this: in today's world of free and open source, Microsoft has entered the field so much, and they are also claiming that they are doing so much work for the community. and that they are changed and judge us by our current actions. That's what they keep saying. Which for our generation is a bit hard to accept, because Linux was born as an alternative to Microsoft in the first place. No,
First of all, that guy will tell anything. He'll tell all kinds of lies. Very sweet liar he is, first of all. And he'll bluff his way, he'll bribe his way everywhere. I cannot bribe anybody because I don't get myself my anything. Nobody pays me, I don't ask. I can't bribe anybody. So that's it. That is might is right. Your money, you can do anything. Even our own leaders, politicians, they go for him, they go and beg him. Microsoft, what is it called? Foundation, what some Melinda Foundation.
Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. Yeah,
Foundation. We are doing this. We are doing so much of community service to third world countries. My foot, because you get out of it because you want to, and every idea they give, somewhere behind those ideas they have borrowed it from open source, from free, wherever it is. Everything can be proved. So it's
do
terrible.
you all, do you all, do you all still have any groups in Hyderabad or any other cities which are active in these networks? Because the Linux user groups used to be very active in those days and was a
Yeah,
crucial part.
there is a Linux user group in Hyderabad also. Linux user group in Chennai, I am very close with them also because of the Srinivasan. Many of them are user group. But no, better than that, now we have a lot of other people who are putting up regularly a lot of stuff on the web for free.
True.
Very good tutorial material for free. You don't have to beg anybody. It's all nicely done. Internet Jindabad. Plenty of things you get from internet easily. And people like me, we also endlessly we keep writing and we put everything on the web. On the web, everything
Through your site, you access
through
it through
my
the
site,
site.
yeah, of course, because there I don't have to ask anybody any this thing, and no, none of those foolish redirections and all those what is that advertisements come up. Those free sites give you a lot of unnecessary advertisements. This is my
Would
own site. Everything is linked to what I do. Yeah, it's right
would you
here.
just would you just like to guide us through your site? Which are the main pages or what people should look at?
If you go here, go to
Yeah,
the Partha site, professor site. Go down.
go
Scroll,
down.
scroll, scroll, scroll. Click on this picture here.
This picture.
Yeah, the white
Yes.
shirt.
Yeah. Correct.
And then there is something called downloadable material or non-traditional teaching.
I see.
Come down somewhere here. It says non-traditional teaching.
Yes. Here. All these. Who
Yeah.
says maths is boring? Downloadable material.
Yeah. Who
Quizzes
says
for students.
maths is boring? Because I'm a maths teacher.
Yeah.
You look at the who says maths is boring. It's a very interesting story.
I see.
If you go there, go to that site.
Yeah. One sec. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Now you get all kinds of things about maths, this thing. Do if you are a mathematician, read this, whatever it says. What is the first one?
The first one is, read this carefully. Two incredible, the incredible story of a woman mathematician, mathematician. Sorry, mathematician. Who is
I'll get my glasses. My
okay?
glasses. Yeah. No, it must be if you are lot of stuff
The most beautiful formula, theorems, identities in mathematics. The
on
randomness of randomness. Very interesting. Very interesting.
lot of stuff, but one of which is if you are a mathematician, remember this or go up a little more.
One sec. Maybe I'll just search. Remembering, no, remembering notes.
Remembering Ramanujan also
Yeah,
go to remembering Ramanujan.
yeah,
Let's take a look at this.
yeah.
You know Ramanujan, no, the
Of course.
mathematician.
Yeah, the great mathematician.
The great mathematician. Tell me, why is he great?
Sorry, I'm caught there. I don't know the answer.
Everybody says great mathematician. Says, okay, fine. What is so great about? Why do you call him a great mathematician? We know nothing. We
Yeah,
all keep saying that. Further down here, if you go down, go down, go down, go down, go down, there's a quiz.
I
A
see.
lot of links there.
I see.
School where he lived, school where he studied.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the
Oh,
school where he studied. Now
very
this
good.
one.
Yeah.
Try this quiz.
Oh, wow.
The first PDF. How much do you know about Ramanujan?
Yeah.
This one. The very first link.
Right.
Try that.
I'm going to fail at it. So
You won't fail. There are some 20 questions about
I see.
Ramanujan. The quiz is prepared. I wrote everything you see here
Yeah.
was written by me,
Very interesting. Very
researched by me. Everything, the material for which was there, published in the book. Ramanujan was died even before I was born.
And
Everything.
the questions also are very interesting. What lie did the British mathematician Hardy give to the Scotland Yard once in order to save Ramanujan from an arrest? When did that happen?
Yeah.
Wow, don't have a clue. So it tempts me into reading more.
A lot of stuff about Ramanujan only.
Yeah,
20 questions. And the last question is further down, you go to question number 20 or something like that.
yeah,
Further down.
yeah. 20, 20, 20. No, it goes up to 30, 35, 35.
Yeah. No, around 20, I think it says
Okay.
how many times.
Your hit parade was a famous American show in the 40s and 50s. Oh my God, things you wouldn't even connect. This is something all maths teachers need to look at closely.
Nobody knows this.
Right.
Everybody says great mathematician. They don't even know what they are talking about.
I'm one of those everybody, so I'll
27.
leave it at
Question
that.
number 27.
7.
How many members of his family? Why did members of his family back on his funeral? There were just four people at the cremation ground when he was being cremated.
I see.
Only four people.
I see.
Yeah. How did Ramanujan go? Further down it says, for what purpose? So you should see this question. Take your own time. See
I
this
know.
question
It's
and try to
very
answer
interesting.
them. If you don't know the
Very.
answers, you ask me. I can give you all the answers with proof.
The answers are not online. The answers are not online. We have to approach you.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Because people look at the book answers only. They won't go. They won't try to learn. My idea
Okay.
is to make you learn.
Okay. But
And
probably someone could Google for the answers and find them. Maybe.
you try to Google that. Let's see if you can do it. At least do something. No.
Yeah.
The teacher has to provoke people, to nudge people to learn. You Google, you do whatever, you beg, borrow, steal, you try to find the answers. And if you don't find the answers, ask me. I'm the best Google for you. Try to Google. At least I get what I want. I'm a teacher. I have to teach you somehow. So if
Very
you
interesting.
learn, I'm very happy.
Very interesting.
I got this also from the book. It's right here on my table. Ramanujan's biography. That is called The Man Who Knew Infinity.
I see. By whom? Published where?
Man Who Knew Infinity was by Robert Canigal, his biographer. It is right here somewhere.
Somehow the foreigners understand India and can tell the Indian story better than we can. Or so it seems.
Because we don't care. Because we don't care. We never try to find out. Even these answers, I put this on the web. How many people have even seen it? Nobody's even seen it. They all say, "हाँ मैं Ramanam, हाँ पता है." The famous mathematician. Okay, fine, famous mathematician. I agree. But why is he famous? Tell me. You know Pythagoras theorem? Yeah, of course I know Pythagoras. He's a Greek mathematician. We know him. Do you know Ramanujan's theorem? Never heard it. Why? Like that. It is like that.
Last question, doctor. Last question. How would you like your contribution towards free and open source to be remembered by the community when we are no longer here?
When I am no longer here, I'm waiting before you. I'm in the queue before you.
How you know? We don't know that.
I know that. I'm a mathematician. Mathematics never fails. I'm going before you. Let's be very clear.
You're going by statistics, but this is a question of health. Anyway, we will not get into an argument over that.
Yeah. Remember me, remember Linux. You don't have to remember me. Remember Linux, try to read whatever I've written. I've taken a lot of pains to write down everything I learn. I try to understand, I try to document everything, write down everything and put it up on the web. Myself. All the hundreds of pages which you see on the web, all of them have been written by me. Read them. Try to answer this Ramanujan quiz. Try to find out what is the Ramanujan. Try to find the answers. Remember that itself a very big way to remember me, and be very happy with that.
Thanks so much, doctor, for all your time. I must apologize for coming in late. I
No,
just
no,
went
no.
3 kilometers and got stuck in a traffic jam, which is unprecedented. But this
Traffic
is,
jam even in Goa.
I live close to the beach, and I made the mistake of going to a beach area on Sunday evening, which was
Oh,
crazy. So I went to pick
weekend.
up something, not to the beach, but I went to pick up something, and I didn't even get that camera stand. So it's okay. But I'm so grateful to you for taking your time, for
I
putting
feel
me in link with Thats again. I'm trying to convince him to do an interview, and for reminding us of these very very momentous
tell
and
him that I
fascinating days.
remember him for this book every day.
Yeah,
Tell
Uh,
us that I remember him for the book, which is right here on my table, which is used every day systematically.
that's
In
a
fact,
real touching tribute to a present, because sometimes we take presents for granted, but when someone says so much about it 20 years later, I guess it means a lot.
this is
Thank you,
in very
doctor.
bad shape. Most of the thing is getting torn out. I've in fact pasted a lot of transparent tape and made it look more manageable book. Tell Tats I still remember him very gratefully for him, and keep in
The
touch.
gift of knowledge, the gift of knowledge, the gift of sharing is priceless.
Yes, gift of sharing a book is priceless. You give me a book, I remember you for life.
I'll do that. Thank you so much, doctor. Thanks a ton.
Great.
Lovely talking to you.
So
Thank you for
nice
your
talking.
patience.
So nice talking to you. Very good, very good. Thank you.
Bye. All the best.
Keep in touch. Bye.